Hey everybody, welcome to Should I Love with Jason Stuart, that's me, and my guest, Daphne Maxwell Reid.
I'm some shit he loves.
I felt embarrassed about saying it to you because you're such a
No.
classy, wonderful gal. Daphne and I have never met, but we just met today. And we met through a mutual publicist friend, Lori, who I just adore.
Oh, we used to have Lori when we were in big time TV back in the 80s.
Oh, really?
Oh, we've worked with Lori for years. And then when I was thinking about getting a publicist again, I said, oh, let me call Lori, see
It's
if
Lori
she's around.
DeWall.
Yeah, she's fabulous.
And she's such a kind gal. It's so easy to deal with.
Yes.
So when I started the research, I'll start from the beginning. I started watching and looking and thinking you were really, did you have a contract at Universal first? Because you did all the Universal shows.
No, I didn't have a contract with anybody.
Because you were really like in the mix of television of the 80s at that time. And you really you were on some of the biggest show from Simon and Simon to all these big shows until you got to Fresh Prince of BEL-AIRE, which is the thing that sort of took you off. But I got to say, the thing that I really loved was Frank's Place.
My favorite show.
Oh, because it wasn't a comedy, it wasn't a drama, and the work was so good. And of course, your husband.
Yeah, he's amazing. But the people that we got to work with were treasures. They were legends in Hollywood that people didn't know anything about until they appeared again on Frank's Place. And they were so wonderful to work with. We learned so much from all stories from old Hollywood and things that they did as firsts that nobody had known anything about.
You work with Stan Latham and,
Mm-hmm.
and the late Hugh Wilson, who just passed recently.
Mm-hmm.
And you got to work with what I call television icons in terms of writer, producer, directors. Now tell everybody what the show was about and everything.
Well, Frank's Place was a story situated in New Orleans, and it was about a man who inherited a bar in New Orleans from his father, whom he did not know previously. And he was this Boston uptight guy, and he came down and fell right into New Orleans culture. And it was showing a side of the black community that rarely gets to be seen. But it had so many different colors of personalities and stories. It was just a wonderful, wonderful place.
Because in those days on television, it just seemed like black people were either the best friend on a drama or the second or third lead.
Or a buffoon.
Or the maid, or in those days, the maid, the man.
I mean, we had Julia before in the 60s and 70s.
But it still was an up and down and in and out.
It was rare that you saw that many black people on the screen, and each of them held their own.
And this was it was a complex show. It was about real people and real lives.
Yes, and it was beautifully created by Hugh Wilson and Tim Reid. And they did a marvelous
Tim Reid, which is your real life husband.
My real life husband.
Who you're still married to.
I am still married to him.
I looked that up too.
37 years.
Just to make sure. Because this is Hollywood, you know.
This is. That's 168 years in Hollywood years. It's like dog years.
How did you guys meet?
We met a long time ago in Chicago. We were both working, doing commercial work. But I was married to somebody else, and he was married to somebody else. And he was just somebody else that I worked with. And then a couple of years later, I moved out to L.A., and he was already out here. And we got reintroduced by somebody else from Chicago and had a 5-minute date that lasted 5 hours. Now it's been 38 years.
Oh, wow. That's so romantic and sweet.
It's sweet. It's really sweet.
But Frank's Place, I got to say, was the beginning of what they would call dramedies in those days. Or is it before the dramedies, before people even knew what that was? Because I remember Mary Tyler Moore had come back with a show called Annie something. I can't remember which was a dramedy. And then there was a Blair Brown show, Molly Dodds, and there was a couple of shows.
It was before Molly Dodds.
Oh, was it?
We were
it was
the first.
87, 88 season.
We were the first comedy, half-hour comedy without a laugh track. And it was shot film style. It wasn't shot in front of a live audience.
Single camera without an audience.
And it was very different for a half-hour comedy. So we broke ground, and CBS was strong enough to take that and run with it.
And because I love the show, and what I love seeing it, being a Jewish kid growing up in Los Angeles, is I was always so obsessed with different kinds of cultures and different kinds of people, and seeing different kinds of lives of people that you just don't see in the way that you thought but I never saw things in the same way. No mistake that I went from, working in film. I always say most of the people that have hired me have been people of color,
Mm-hmm.
or LGBT people, or
You
women.
saw on Frank's Place, we did a Seder dinner.
Yes,
we had.
I remember that episode.
Big respect for the Jewish community.
Well, because I think that there's a real deep connection between Jews of a certain age and black people of a certain age, because the Jews had just been out of the Holocaust, and
Right.
when all the civil rights things came out, and they had just been, their lives had just been ruined. They were the closest to another race that really understood what was really going on.
They were still white, so they got to walk with the black kids and keep them from being beaten.
Right.
Because they wouldn't beat the white kids. So.
Right. There was a lot of what I call brother and sister.
Yeah.
The love. It always touches me so deeply when I think about what was going on. People don't.
Well, I grew up in Manhattan, so I grew up with Jewish people and Catholic people, and it was the biggest mixing bowl that you could find, and it was wonderful for exposure to different cultures.
Well, especially in the arts, we don't see it as well as others do, because our love of our work is what comes first.
Yeah.
Now, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, what a popular show, and you went into it after it was already a hit.
Yeah, I was asked to audition for it initially.
Uh-huh.
And what I was told was, there's a half-hour show they're developing with a rap singer, and I said, "Not bye, thank you, no, I'm not going."
Because in those days, rap was really
it was a little dicey.
Yeah, it just wasn't even something that was really that popular.
No, it was popular in some communities, but it wasn't accepted by us adults.
Yes.
Anyway, and we had just worked on 100 shows. We were so tired after seasons and seasons and seasons of working. We bought a farm in Virginia, and I said, I'm going to the farm. I got to chill out. So
an actual working farm?
Oh, yeah. We had a horse farm in Virginia.
Oh, dear God.
Yeah, it was fabulous. And I'm watching television when fall came, and this cute little show comes on, and it's The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. I said, oh, what a cute show. So 3 years later, when they said, we're auditioning for Fresh Prince, I said, I'm off the phone. I'm on my way. And I had to come out to L.A. and audition with everybody else. 200 women. I'm sure they saw 200 women.
My God.
I auditioned for 2 weeks.
And you played Aunt
Vivian.
Aunt Vivian, right.
And that's what I'm known as now when I walk down the street.
Isn't that strange?
Not at all. I love it.
It's just strange when you think, because it was only, how many years were you on the show?
3.
And you've done so much else. You really have
catch up to that
you have such a whole body of work. I always think that's so, but in those days there were only 3 or 4 networks.
That's right.
So people forget how.
But that show was far more.
So popular.
It was so popular, and it is generationally popular.
It's iconic.
It holds its
too.
own. Yeah, I'm on my 3rd generation of kids now.
Oh, wow. Oh, right, because it's still in syndication.
Yes, it's still in syndication,
everything.
And people know me as Aunt Viv.
Oh.
And I said, your mother knew me, and your grandma knew me as Aunt Viv. So.
What was Will Smith like in those days?
He was a dream. Just a wonderful, wonderful young man. I was impressed with how smart he was, how business savvy he was, how well read he was. And we had the whole cast had great esoteric conversations when we were sitting on the couch waiting for them to get whatever done they were doing while we were waiting. And we had the most wonderful kind of family developed right there. It was its own little family.
It either happens or not, I hear on shows, because I've
yes,
not had a series.
Yes, and I've had lots of series that you're family for a while, but it doesn't stick and stay.
Yeah.
This one stuck and stayed.
Do you still see Will at all?
I see Will. I see Tatiana. I see Karen. I see Alfonso. Yeah.
And he's really, really adapted social media recently.
He did.
Yes. Have you noticed that? He's really gone into the next realm.
I think he has an editor.
He must.
He has an editor.
Well, he has Fallbrooks, I think it's called. His company. I'm sure he has people do all these for him.
But while he's on the road, somebody's editing these things.
Yeah.
Because, well, you're good, but you can't do that just with one take.
Yes, I think so. I think he sends them all in, and somebody's.
And they do it quickly.
Oh yeah.
So,
well, these kids can do things in 2 seconds.
I love it. Yeah.
It's amazing.
He kept up, I'm sure, with all the technology. He's that curious and that bright, and I'm really proud of him.
But he had it's interesting because he had a different movie star quality, which was a lot more distant when he first started. That what I call the Tom Cruise kind of thing, that the way Barbara Streisand or Warren Beatty and all in those days, you'd be a star and you would keep a little bit of a distance from everybody. And then my friend, comedian Tiffany Haddish, told this incredible story about how she had gone to see a swamp tour with him and his wife. I don't know if you heard that story.
No, I haven't.
It's hysterically funny. And him and his wife went on this Groupon thing, and and Jada did not know what a Groupon was. She thought it's where you got a bunch of people in a group that you know. She didn't realize it was anybody. And she tells this whole incredible story and I think that made a big impression upon him in terms of him changing, the way because the business has changed.
Oh yeah,
the world has changed. Yeah,
and he's a great businessman. I'm really, really proud of him.
Now you got to work on Hill Street Blues, which was another iconic show. Yeah, with the late Stephen Bochco, who just passed recently.
Yeah. I did a couple of episodes there.
You did, I think, 4 or 5.
Oh my, I don't remember.
And you played different parts on the show, which I thought was really interesting because now they don't let you do that. And I mean, honestly, really close together too.
I was really hot back in the 70s and 80s, which was wonderful. I had a fabulous career, all the way up through Fresh Prince.
Oh, don't say how.
Wonderful. Well, I do other things now. A fabulous television career. Yeah. But I do other things that are just as wonderful now.
Do you think that, I see, it's funny, there's a real theme in terms of your work. First year, you were really hot and on every television show that was popular, and then you went over to a lot of the black shows and you became up from Frank's Place to Fresh Prince to even what was the other LINC'S, which was sort of very similar to Frank's Place.
It's because Tim developed that, and we shot it at our studio in Virginia.
It was Pam Grier, show. Right after. Yeah. How you got Pam Grier after Jackie's?
We got Pam Grier because she was on Frank's Place.
Oh, I did not.
She did an episode of Frank's Place when she came back after being ill for a while. She came back and started working again, and Tim says, "Come work with us," and she did, and we all fell in love, of course.
She's just
and said, "Okay, we're developing another show with Stephen Williams and you, Pam. You want to do? Yeah, let's do this. Let's do it in Virginia at my studio. Okay, let's do it." And Showtime bought it, and we did 2 seasons.
I really love that show.
I did too. That was fun. I had the best time playing a bawdy hooker. And I avoided playing a hooker.
Which your husband wrote for you.
Oh, yeah. He said that was the best acting that I had done.
Or maybe that was his idea of a good time.
I don't know. But I had a ball.
Well, it's because you went full circle from being the good to the...
I remember in my early years starting in television, I would not read for the roles that were just hookers and drug addicts and stuff. I don't want to play that.
But now it's
I'll do it. Yeah, I can play anything.
The world has opened up.
Yeah.
It's
times change.
And it seems like you guys were always sort of ahead of the curve.
And that's not a good thing sometimes.
I understand. I know what it is to be a
pioneers.
I know what it is to be.
You get shot in the back.
I know what it is
you're out front.
Yes, and but you're still here.
Oh gosh, yes.
And I always say
you can knock us down, but we don't stay down.
I always say to people like you, I don't know if myself, I came out on television on the Geraldo show 25 years ago. This is my 25th year of being openly gay. Mm-hmm. And things have really changed in the last 5 years so much.
Totally.
Where today I'm actually, after this, I'm going to put myself on tape. I'm auditioning for the part of a dad on Jessica Jones.
Okay.
So
you're coming the other way.
Exactly. So life does go to a place that you think is never going to happen. So I say to you, never give up that instant.
Oh, no. Just get up and do something else.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
I really believe
it's
that.
It's never over till it's over.
If there's a passion, and then, what I love about people over a certain age is that we don't realize that we wear all of those things on us. And when you see your work, it's in you.
Yeah.
And you don't have to try as hard.
No, we've been through all those characters. We've lived those lives.
Yes, it's honest.
So
there's a depthness.
We can portray, yes.
There's a depth that I just absolutely love. There was a couple things on here that I wanted to talk about that I just didn't know about, and I would love to hear. Okay. I mean, certainly you were on Eve for a long time. You got to work with another rapper.
Yes.
And isn't she on?
She's on a The View.
The View now, isn't she?
The View or one of the others.
Or The Real?
The Real.
The
one
Real.
Of the two.
Yeah, I can't tell. They all look the same to me on those shows.
Girls on TV.
Yeah, they all have the big makeup and the big hair. And,
oh, yeah. That's good makeup.
Yes,
yeah.
And that Oprah lighting where you just have a nose and eyes and a mouth, nothing else. You did a film. You did two really interesting films that sort of caught my eye. Mm-hmm. One of them you did around 10 years ago, called Slavery in the Making of America.
I just did narration on it.
Oh, just that? Mm-hmm. What was that about? Because I'm really fascinated. Because being in Birth of a Nation. It wasn't
my project.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I did my part and sent it off, and
that was it.
That was it.
Being in Birth of a Nation and being a part of that whole for a year, being on tour with it, and the idea of learning more about. And then I saw this episode that Oprah had done on 60 Minutes. It was like from slavery to incarceration. Yeah. And I'd never seen such a true line in such a clear way.
And that's what this over incarceration is now, is another form of slavery.
So this was part of that. So that's what I think is something that we all have to keep on talking about and let people see the clear line. Yeah. So people see what we're doing.
I hope they do something about it and stop talking about it.
Well, I hope that's the first thing, is talking about it, so making people aware to see the clear line to that, so people can say this is wrong and to do something about it. And your husband just seems to be, and you just to get, that's my mama. Oh my God, I forgot about that. You did an episode of that.
I did the second
version of that.
The second coming of
Teresa.
That's my mama. Teresa.
Yeah. Oh, I loved her.
Teresa.
Yeah, she was the last. I forgot too, but I love her. And now, I mean, in the last year, you've been incredibly busy.
Well, I started to express other gifts that God had given me. And I said, well, you get into that age, you say, well, I got these gifts.
You want to share
Let me share them and see if I can inspire people to make some changes in their lives. Because people have gotten a little solitarily technology focused. And they really need to open up their eyes and look at the world and live the world that they're in, rather than projecting somebody else's life through the screen. I mean, all this social media is wonderful in its place, but to be a lifestyle, I think they're missing out on a whole lot of reality.
You have to add to it, I think.
They don't have anything to give. They only know what to regurgitate.
It's really hard now, isn't it? I mean, I find it really hard just knowing what is, like, if you would say to me, hey, I read this the other day, the first thing I'll say to you is, who wrote it?
Yes.
Who wrote it? Who is the person? What's their point of view? And do we know if this is a legitimate journalist?
That's right. Plus the fact, is it based on fact or is it based on hearsay?
And whose fact?
Everybody's opinion. No, there's only one fact.
Well,
there's only one truth.
But I mean in the sense, I believe what you're saying, but I believe in the sense there is only one fact, but you have to find out who the person is who said that was a fact.
Correct.
And that's the part that scares me.
Go to the source material.
Which is hard, because you go on the internet looking things up.
Kids have to learn how to find the source.
I'm not 100% sure about anything anymore. So how did this manifest for you? How you been doing speeches in places?
I've been doing speeches, but I also, in my photography, the books that I read and the books that I promote, that I've written and books that I promote, deal with looking at the details in life and making sure that the journey from point A to point B is not just getting there, but what you find, what you learn along the way. Because once you get to point B, you got to go to point C.
So it's exactly what I'm saying. I watched this thing that Oprah did on 60 Minutes, and it really, as a Jewish gay man in this country, I've always heard that idea and basically fact that more black and brown people are incarcerated. And it's very upsetting to me. And I wonder what I can do, and how do I see it, and how do I tell people about that so that word is spread around? Because it's impossible. There's more white people in this world than there are black and brown people. So how can more black and brown people be in prison?
So.
No, in the United States.
I don't think so.
You think there are more black and brown people here?
Yes. And I think that's why they're scared. I think there's a whole white population.
Do you consider Jewish people white?
Of course they are.
See, I don't.
Okay.
You know why? Because as a Jewish person, I don't feel like I'm a part of the white Christian You know what I mean?
That's fine.
You know, I don't feel like I'm even though.
But if a cop stops you, you're
yes,
white.
I totally agree with you, 100%.
That's
but
all.
I don't feel in my heart inside of who I am as a human being.
No, you're a human being.
Yeah.
You don't need a category.
Well, that's true, but I don't feel part of that group in terms of the way I've been treated. The minute I open my mouth, I'm somebody else. But I do have the privilege of white privilege.
Oh, yeah.
Because of the way I look.
You
100%.
just walk in a room.
100%.
There's a perception.
And I said to a cousin who I had a conversation with the other day, you know, he keeps saying things that I don't think are true. And he will say things, and I said, he'll say things about stuff, and I'll say, how do you know this? And he'll tell me to look stuff up, and I never can find it. Mm-hmm. So I know it not to be true. And I don't think I have had a black male friend who has said to me that he has not been stopped by a police officer, ever.
My son just revealed to me my son is 47 years old. He just revealed to me last year that he was driving through North Carolina, and stopped at a gas station, and a man put a shotgun to his head. When
was this?
Maybe 10 years ago.
And he never told you?
No.
That must have been just really hard to hear.
Oh, yes. Our kids got stopped in Encino driving in their dad's car. What are you two young men doing in this Mercedes?
It's my dad's.
Oh, they got stopped.
Yeah. People don't get it.
They don't understand driving while black.
Well, I know the only thing I can say is I was arrested twice when I was in my 20s for being gay.
Yeah.
And being in the wrong place at the wrong time. I remember when I toured incredibly, I remember being harassed going into a gay club. I remember in Tulsa, Oklahoma, I'll never forget it because I walked in, I stood there, and the guy said, do you know where you're going? I said, yeah, I'm going to this bar. It was a police officer. I didn't get what he was doing because I'm a California boy.
Right.
And it's probably the 90s. And he's going, well, you know what kind of bar that is? I said, it's a gay bar. He says, you're going in there. I said, yeah, because I'm gay. And he looked at me like he couldn't believe that I was just saying it.
You're a nice white guy.
That I wasn't.
You're not supposed to be gay.
Yeah, but I didn't apologize for it.
Right.
I think that was the thing that freaked him out. But I didn't know that I was supposed to.
Yeah.
Because I don't come from Tulsa.
And you're not supposed to.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Tim was doing comedy with Tom Dreesen back in the 70s.
I know Tom Dreesen. I work with him at the Laugh Factory all the time.
They started off as the black and white comedy team back
in the
70s. And they were in clubs, and somebody put a cigarette out in Tim's face. I mean, things like that happen. But being black is being black. And our kids need to understand that they are read as black, and they have to learn how to deal with that and change it, and change people's minds about what they think they are supposed to be.
It's hard.
It's hard.
It is because it's scary.
We've been doing this for 200 years. It's always been hard.
But I think it's real important that people like you are speaking about it. Honestly, it's important. It has to come from people who've experienced it, and they have to hear it from your mouth. Because I think sometimes people don't realize that we stand on the shoulders of people like yourself to be able to get to the next place. And every day that I can, if I'm asked about something, I try to say, these are the people that came before me, and this is why I'm here.
I try to talk to young women and say that I didn't start this. I was a pioneer in a whole lot of things. I had my challenges too, but I didn't let the challenges stop me. I went to Northwestern University, and I was integrating that.
There's the first couple. Let me pat your back here and lift you up. First African American homecoming queen at Northwestern University. Therefore, after you were also on the first woman, I guess, black woman to appear on the cover of Glamour magazine. Mm-hmm. Man.
But the first day I walked onto campus at Northwestern University from wonderful international New York City, I went to go into my dorm room, and there was a girl standing by the door. And I said, excuse me, this is my room. And she looked at me and she said, I'm not rooming with no niggas.
Wow.
And I turned around and I said, well, where are they, honey? And I said, I'd like a room by myself, please. That was my introduction to Northwestern University.
Wow. What year was that?
1966.
Wow.
So I've been through the gamut.
Yeah.
Yes, I've been loved as Aunt Vivian. I've been wanted to be spit on, too. It's just life.
No, I can see it's also a part of who you are. And I think what the challenge it is for people who have been through things, and I know this is for me, is that to never forget is what the Jews say.
Yeah.
And that what the gay people say is silence equals death.
That is.
And what they say to black people is get over it. And I think that's so wrong. And
So
I learned
wrong.
that from Nate Parker from Birth of a Nation. And I think that we have to speak our truth and tell people this, because we have to, silence does equal death. And, you know, never to forget. But then there's the other element to it that's really important to me as a man now at this time in my age, is that I can't be the person who that happened to. That can't be my only part of my story. I have to change, and that's one thing that happened.
You have to wear it. You don't have to change it. You have to show them how to wear it and go on beyond that.
But I only want it also to be one part of my story. It doesn't have to be everything.
I don't even hate these people. I felt sorry for her ignorance, that young girl. It's really a shame that you don't know any better than that. It really is sad. It didn't upset me. She just is
not
stupid.
A little?
No, I had never been called a nigger before.
So it's just sort of like,
what are you talking about?
Exactly.
Who's this?
Yeah.
I said, no, you're just stupid.
Well, obviously you were raised right. We're going to break away just for a little commercial here to make some money.
Okay, good.
It's your home away from home in Silver Lake, Casa Crawford, in strolling distance of both Echo Park and Silver Lake. Casa Crawford is the perfect bed and breakfast. It's a great Airbnb. It's 3 miles to downtown and to Hollywood. You get your own large room and a wonderful bunch of artwork and a gorgeous view of the hills. So to make a reservation, you call my friend Scott at 323-663-1664. That's 323-663-1664. Didn't forget to do that, thank God.
Hi, Scott.
It's a wonderful place.
Good.
And he's so kind to be our sponsor for the show. So you have 5 books out, and now you're publishing your first cookbook.
Yes.
Which is called Grace plus Soul and Mother Wit. Tell me about it.
Well, grace is what you say at the table when you sit down to have a meal with your friends and family.
I love that.
And then soul is the essence of my community. And mother wit is something you're either born with or you get the ability to learn by listening. God,
I love that. I love listening.
Yeah.
That's what I've learned.
There's a subtitle to that cookbook.
What's that?
It's a memoir, and it is spiced with personal memories. So it's a book, kind of a little memoir of my life growing up and my family, and pictures of growing up. And then it tells you how to set up a kitchen, and then how to stock your pantry so that you don't have to go out to the store to make a meal. All sorts of little tips for people who have never been in a kitchen or who have been in a kitchen and wanted to run out because they weren't prepared.
I've always dated men that know how to cook because I can't. Jewish boys aren't allowed to cook because their mothers won't let us.
That's right. Your mothers won't let you do anything.
No, nothing. Except when they get older, it's do for me, buy for me. My mom now, can you pick up that ice cream at Thrifty's? I love it. You know, she's always.
You're so lucky she's still here.
Oh, are you kidding? I love people know that I'm a big mama's boy.
Good.
I moved my mom back here a year and a half ago from Palm Springs because she's 81 now, and I wanted to be able to take care of her. So she lives 10 minutes right from my house.
Excellent.
And I think everybody should. You know what it is? It's about learning to forgive. That's the biggest thing in my life.
Oh.
Is really, really learning to forgive. And that knowing that your parents are just people.
Yeah.
That happen to have kids.
When you guys were born, we didn't get a handbook to go with it.
No.
You've got to figure it out as it comes along.
It's, again, not putting so much weight on the terrible things that happen and saying, that's me, that's my story. My story is, you know, I got to do this, I got to do that, I got to do this.
What did you learn from those hard times? You learned strength, you learned responsibility, you learned tenacity. If you didn't have any kind of
I've been told tenacity a lot in my life.
If you didn't have any kind of compression, you would be willy-nilly all over the place. You wouldn't have a clue where your foundation is.
In a way, yes, but sometimes I think, oh God, wouldn't it be great to just be someone who's, you know, a little less tethered. Sometimes I think, what would it be?
You learn how to cut the cord.
Exactly.
And run.
What would that be like? So for those who don't know, Tim Reid, your husband, started off at WKRP in Cincinnati, which you also guested on.
Yes.
Yeah, which was a great, great show. And it's funny because another friend of mine is working with Lonnie Anderson on a sitcom.
Oh, good.
And she came back and did it.
Yeah.
And I got to say,
buddy.
Oh, she's a doll. He says she's just great. And you got to work with Paul Mooney on something? He's an old comedy buddy of mine.
Of course. And Tim is an old comedy guy.
Yeah, so
we got Paul to the studio, and we developed a show called Analyzing White America. And he and Tim got it all scripted, and we shot it at the studio and made a DVD, and Shout Factory picked it up. So it's been selling for years.
What do you think of Paul?
I think he's a nut.
Yeah.
He's a
I've known
certifiable nut.
I've known him for literally the beginning of my comedy career. And when I came out on television 25 years ago on the Geraldo show, they had 5 comedians on. One was Angry Black Man comedian, Woman Who Lost a Lot of Weight comedian, Little Person comedian, Hearing Impaired comedian, and Gay comedian. Mm-hmm. I came out on that show. And it was called Unconventional Comedians. And what we learned is that all comedians are unconventional.
You have to be.
And Paul was on the show selling his album at that time. And it's when I got to know Paul a little better, because I'd only known him from the Comedy Store, and got to know his history and who he is. And people don't know what a kind, sweet man he is under this.
Is he doing all right?
I've not seen him in a while.
Okay.
Because I haven't seen him in quite a while. But he'll call once in a while. I've talked to him on the phone occasionally, so I should catch up with him.
Yeah.
And for those who don't know, this is a man who wrote for Richard Pryor, and certainly
talk about an angry black man. Oh, don't be a tenderfoot white folks in his audience, because he's going to talk about you.
Well, my mom was in the audience one night at the Comedy Store to see me, and he was there on stage before me or after me. I can't remember.
She was aghast.
Oh, well, because he started to talk to her, and my mom will talk to anybody.
Yeah.
So that did not go well.
For her.
Yes.
Paul ate it up.
Yes. Yes, definitely. Oh, my God. I got to say, this has been an absolute pleasure. I really have just so enjoyed getting to know you.
Thank you. Thank you.
That's what the sort of neat thing about this show is that you get to talk to people that you don't necessarily get to talk to. You get to ask them intimate questions. And we're talking like...
we haven't gotten intimate yet. What kind of intimate questions?
Well, the kind of things I wouldn't have asked you if I was alone, if I had met you someplace.
Oh.
I don't know if I would have been as...
well, you've got to learn freedom, dear.
Yes.
Ask anything you like.
Well.
Anywhere, with anyone.
Yes. But
they'll either answer you or not.
Yes, they will. But I try to keep a bit of decorum in my life, just a little bit of decorum. This is a pleasure. So if people want to get your book or they want to get anything, where do they go?
Everything is on my website.
Which is called?
DaphneMaxwellReid.com. That's an easy one.
DaPhne.
Yes.
Maxwell, and Reid, REID.
Yeah.
And if you forget her name, just go to JasonStuart.com, STUART, and I will point you in the right direction. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Yes. And until next time, take care, everybody.